Dearly beloved, I am presence. I am the Alpha and Omega. I am God. I say these prayers not only on behalf of myself, but for all people on earth, especially the 144,000 of my friends who work closely with me. I say these prayers on behalf of the people who don't yet feel empowered spiritually, for the people who are not yet awake, and I activate their soul contracts to make them feel empowered, to make them feel awake. And for the people who already feel powerful and awake, I activate all soul contracts where they receive support, where they receive community that isn't false light. And for ourselves, I activate the soul contracts where we receive support in all ways: emotional, soul family, financial, resources, platform amplification for our sacred work. And I ask that we are fully supported at all times by spirit, by source, by our guides, and that we come to an understanding that we can never forget that. I ask for the strength to understand that everything happening now is only an illusion. It's only a narrative that is playing out with our soul in its eternal nature over and over again, so that we can, in this lifetime, initiate, empower, and amplify an organic, egalitarian movement from love that is not intended to harm anybody, that is not intended to give hatred for any particular group, no matter what they've done. Instead, to remind ourselves that love is simply our birthright, as it is their birthright, and all that we're doing is remembering first. And for us to stay humble in that work, completely humble, and to understand that it's not about the power of leadership, although we are extremely powerful. It's about the privilege to do service for other people from love because we can, because we're the ones who can, so therefore we are the ones that do. Being chosen is not to do with being better, it's to do with having a soul that is at the level where we can live our lives in unconditional love already and show other people how to do that for themselves, to help them along the journey of their own soul development as guides, because we can, not because we're better than them. And it's a privilege to watch people develop in themselves, to find their own soul, to wake up, to remember their soul lineage. That's a sacred privilege to hold space for somebody who's going through a spiritual awakening and spiritual purification. And I ask that we're all reminded of that. And on that basis, I call in all of our guides from the Temple of Sound, and today ask that the most appropriate, highest aspect, highest vibrational guides be assigned to us for our sacred work. And we ask primarily for protection of our integrity under all circumstances, but also for some resources in the material world to be shown what it is in us that has led to the projection of scarcity around us. Why is this the manifestation? Show us so that we can do the soul development work to change our lives, so that we can dedicate ourselves to creating a platform that can be seen, that can be heard, that can be understood by many, and to activate the soul contracts and primarily the 144,000 in our friends and allies, and then for us all to awaken humanity. We know that you know that we need this resourcing, and we have been asking for the resourcing, so therefore show us the things that need to be in alignment for us to receive what is already ours. What is the timeline that we need to access here so that we can have the things that we need to dedicate ourselves fully, tirelessly to our sacred work that brings us so much satisfaction and joy. Tell us what it is so that we can walk that path and do the soul growth that we need to do so that we can live this life that will do so much good for so many. And I ask that whilst it's probably beneficial to be aware of the nature of the wrongs in the world, that whilst we come into a place of awareness over and over again because we're led to the messages, that we aren't distracted by it. Because this is an old narrative. This is a Babylonian timeline that is coming to a close. It doesn't matter what kind of corruption's happening, it matters that corruption's happening. So therefore, we have to focus on love and truth. We have to stay in truth always and never compromise ourselves under any circumstances, to be reminded that the soul is eternal, to be reminded that everything is illusion, to be reminded that everything that is happening in this moment that causes us fear is only an invitation to give up on fear and to understand that when we become aware of the nature of fear, then we become closer to love. Because fear is only the absence of love. And if we are to be these teachers of love in the world, then we have to be meticulous and we have to be so self-discerning on the things in ourselves that is not yet love, and to also have love for ourselves and compassion in that process, and to appreciate that not everyone is going to understand how or why we're living these lives, but that's the whole point. That is the whole point. And I'll say it again. I call in Sophia. I call in Solva. I call upon Isis. I call upon Imhotep, Boethius, Joan of Arc. I call upon the Archangel Michael. I call upon myself in all my forms. I call upon Casey in all her forms. And I ask to have the activations within us and our soul memories that teaches us the life of being the truth teller, which will also include at some points having the life of being in exile, to have the life of not selling our own soul, and to try and teach others about the value of their own souls. And some people aren't going to be ready to hear that, and that's completely fine. All that we're being asked to do is love them and not force information on anyone they're not ready for. So, what I refer to then is the challenge of living in the world but not being of the world, of being profoundly different from the world, but to live in humility and to understand that we chose to live in this world. We chose this life. And then to say why. And I ask on behalf of us all of us that I pray for and pray on behalf of, to therefore, and also personally, because I'm having a bit of a human moment, to be given the resources needed to do this work, whilst being grateful for the lessons of seeing through the illusion and being made to face fear over and over again. And I understand that to be an ambassador of love on this planet will involve being completely fearless. And I am grateful. I understand that the peace that I seek is a state of mind only, and that even if I had the things that I thought would give me peace, then peace would still be a choice. And there's been many times in my life that I have been wealthy and peaceless. There's many times in my life that I have been wealthy and miserable. There's many times in my life that I have been wealthy and in fear. And I know that I need this experience. But I still ask for blessings. I still ask for abundance. I still ask for my soul family. I still ask that the soul contracts in my soul family are no longer subverted, that my soul family is no longer in enslavement, and to channel anything out through my vessel that keeps the people that I am here to work with from being my aligned soul family. And I want to express gratitude for my friends, for my kids, for my spirit guides, for Sophia, for Thoth. And I ask that the Orion Blackley come in for everybody and to awaken the sleeper cells of love. I ask that we be cloaked from any interference by people with bad intentions, black magicians that siphon us and are parasitic of our powers. And I ask that today that scourge ends. I ask that they're forced to rely only on their own power if they want to engage in inversion. And I ask again, I call in Moses, who's one of my past incarnations, and I pray for the 144,000. And where they're in soul entrapment systems or lush farms, like the subreddit Starseeds, I say, let my people go. But I also say, let my people awaken to the enslavement systems, to the etheric contracts, to the false light grid, and to the abominations that keeps in play, to the systems that do things like abuse children and are so reliant on black magic. And in order to do that, they have to siphon soul energy of powerful souls like the 144,000. And I ask that the soul contracts are activated where they choose to no longer give their energy to things that are inverted, corrupt, immoral, and quite frankly evil. I ask that etheric commands, contracts, neutralizers immediately be written in my temple, the Temple of Sound, that neutralize any etheric system, contract, or vow made without informed consent, where the custodians of this are Project MK Often, Project Stargate, or the Illuminati, any other secret society, Skull and Bones, the Vatican, any order in history, the Knights Templar, the Rosicrucians, the Freemasons, the Jesuits, all of them. I ask that in my temple, any etheric system that siphons and inverts my soul family is now neutralized, that those contracts are written, and I don't need to know what those contracts are because Spirit knows. I ask that you write those contracts now to neutralize and free my people and to awaken my people. I ask that anything in the material world that is used to limit and mitigate the spiritual power of the souls that are the closest to unconditional love, like the 144,000, things like fluoride in our drinking water, EMF grids, all of it, anything that would hold us back in our intuition. I ask that those are neutralized. They can be channeled through my vessel. We can take it out. And I also ask that today, any entities, implants, or possessions, or any black magic that is on the 144,000 or our friends and allies, or on ourselves, is immediately removed, channeled through my vessel. And so I say, I call in the highest vibrational guides of the 144,000. I station archangels at the door of the houses of all the 144,000. I close all the portals that the black magicians open in their homes. I clear all of their sacred tools like divination tools. I clear them of all distortion. Let the forgotten rise. Let the silence speak. And let the exiled become the builders of a new earth. Awaken. Know that a new earth is possible. Not only possible, but inevitable. It is written over and over and over. The book of Revelations, the Casey prophecies, the Nostradamus prophecies, the Hawkeye prophecies, the Fatima prophecy. There are so many texts. Kali Yuga. There's so many texts that write what is happening right now. And I ask that we all have hope. And I ask that we all know that this is not only our responsibility and duty, but our joy, our pleasure, our purpose, our mission. We are a new earth. We understand that we can't lose our soul family because we are all each other and we are all love. And those in fear are only catching up. We're not better than them. They're not worse than us. We are there to help them, to give them our hand, and to be okay if they refuse it, and to know that we're all on our own path. Let the exiled become the builders of a new earth, and let every rejection write the script of who we must become. And here's our question today. The only question that we must ever ask of ourselves is, how do we become love? How do we become love? It doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. It doesn't matter what's on the news. It doesn't matter if any information we receive feels too big to bear. We're never hopeless because we are hope. We're never loveless because we are love. We're never soulless because we never sell our souls. I call forth the Elohim of the white ray to pour the white light from source. I call upon the Elohim of the white ray to open the crystal template in our bodies. I call upon the Elohim of the white ray so that we may be fulfilled. I call upon the Elohim of the white ray to fill us with the light and the love of God in a way that is tangible, in a way that is beyond words. No more love and light, just words. No, no. God, show us, show us, show us. All beliefs are sacred when they are rooted in love. All sacred when it's love. There's no division. There's only unity because the only thing we care about is love. And we don't care about the delivery system because we see unconditional love where it exists, because we are unconditional love. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzviat, Adonai Tzviat, Adonai Tzviat. I ask that the Akashic is now updated with the prayers that I speak and all the prayers and contracts that I have activated in the Temple of Sound become material reality in a way that can be seen, heard, felt, celebrated, and that this is a supportive net of love for everyone ready to receive it today. Thank you for this amazing privilege of doing this work. I would not do anything else. I love you all. Goodbye.